I was starting from nothing. I had nothing in my toolkit. Pop-ups and any in real life event can be a game changer. It not only gives customers the opportunity to experience the patches in real life, but it gives us an opportunity to educate them about this innovative delivery method and to see how they look, how they feel. And in some cases, it creates Instagrammable moments or UGC that can fuel buzz. But for the most part, the real value is in those one-on-one interactions with the customers.
Welcome to the DTC Insider podcast, where online business owners come to find actionable tips and tactics to grow their businesses. Now, here's your host, Brian Roisentul.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the DTC Insider podcast. I'm Brian Roisentul, your host, and today I'm super excited to chat with Cleo Davis-Urman, co-founder of Barriere. Hey, Cleo, thank you for being on the show.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So why don't you start by introducing yourself and telling the audience more about Barriere too?
So I'm Cleo Davis-Urman. I am the co-founder of Barriere, which is a wellness brand with a line of transdermal vitamin patches, which if you're looking at this, I'm showing right now, they were created out of necessity. A personal medical journey informed a need for this product, and I saw a gap in the marketplace and have been working on building and bringing this product to market for the last 4 years.
Okay, so for those who are listening to this and not watching this, when she introduced her products, she didn't show any packaging or anything like that. She just showed her hand, and it's like a sticker or like a tattoo. How would you define that? It's a patch, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so it's a transdermal vitamin patch, but it's designed specifically to look like a little temporary tattoo or a wearable work of art. So it's definitely got a visual appeal, whereas most supplements, you just take them and they don't look like anything, and you can't necessarily see what kinds of supplements people are taking. With our patches, we have the unique ability to sort of generate self-care, but also self-expression, and have this like visual component that I think really makes people excited about a wellness routine that they can literally stick to.
Okay, so this is definitely different from everything I've seen so far. So I wanted to ask, first off, how did you come up with the idea?
Yeah, so actually, I about 4.5 years ago, I had a standard blood panel done, and it revealed that I was dangerously deficient in iron and B12 and had low levels of vitamin D, despite having taken capsule vitamins with those ingredients for over a decade regularly. So I was really confused as to why I was not absorbing these vitamins, even though I was taking supplements with these ingredients. I had to go to the hospital every week for B12 injections and regularly for iron transfusions to get my levels up. And what I learned through this process was that up to 90% of ingredients in oral supplements can actually get lost in your digestive tract. And there are so many variables for a oral supplement to work. What did you eat that day? How fast is your metabolism? How much water did you drink? And
People know this? I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, so many people don't
I
know,
didn't.
a lack of transparency in the supplement space in general. So I was personally surprised, and I think many other people would be too.
Okay, so yeah, keep going. Sorry, interrupted you.
Yeah, no. So it's one of the things that we, wanted to better understand was, is there a way to absorb vitamins or find a more effective way to absorb vitamins if oral options are not the right solution for you, like in my case, and knowing that not everyone has the time or the resources to go to a hospital for treatment. And through that process, my doctor introduced me to transdermal patches, which are very common in healthcare settings. It's the same technology that's used for nicotine patches or estrogen patches. So they're proven, they've been around since the 70s, but in the context that they existed then, it was much more of a medical device. It was a product that resembled a bandage. It looked like something that you would get at a hospital. They weren't comfortable. They caused skin irritation. They couldn't get wet. And they really didn't solve my problem of, something that I could incorporate into my routine to maintain healthy levels of the vitamins I was looking for, but without compromise. And so that sort of sparked this idea, can we take all of the benefits of this proven delivery method for vitamins and re engineer it so that it's something that people can enjoy wearing, that they don't have to make changes to their routine, that there are no rules for it to work. And after, a lot of research, development, trial, and error, we were able to create a product that was so comfortable, that could get wet, that didn't cause skin irritation, and that really felt like a revolution. But the secret sauce for me was, how do we get it to be a little bit of, you know, joy and excitement? And that's where the art idea came in, giving it this appeal gets people excited about it. They're thinking about which patch I'm going to wear today. It's a bit of self expression, and it builds in this community of people who are wearing wellness, literally on their sleeve or on their arm, etc. And so that's really what this brand is about. It's self-care and self-expression, and saying that you don't have to make a compromise or change your routine to look and feel your best.
Right. So something I'm always amazed by is the fact that, the innovation, it's kind of a black box for most people because it's like, yeah, I thought of this product idea and then I created it. Okay, but what happened in the middle? So for those listening who want to innovate, how did you went from idea to the product development? How did you take that? How did you take that idea to life?
Yeah. So I think the first and most important thing is to acknowledge where your strengths and weaknesses are. I had this idea and I knew enough about, my experience to be able to put this out into the world, but I didn't have the operational or supply chain or medical experience required to actually make this product. So that's where having a partner who had all of those experiences really played an important role, because my partner Alexa was able to balance her experience with my experience, and we were able to really ask the right questions and get in front of the right people. So I would say, if you have an idea, don't, sometimes we hold things so close and we want, ownership or autonomy, and really collaboration, asking questions, meeting with people who have more experience than you do can help
Oh yeah.
determine the next best steps. And so there was a lot of, just research and meetings and asking questions until I got to a place where I felt like there was enough of a team, so to speak, to start sampling a product. And because of my personal medical need, I was a great test case for a user trial with all the
Right.
different factories, with all the different people that we were speaking to around formulations, really trying to first find something that was effective. And I would have blood work done regularly to, confirm, okay, this is actually working. And then finding people to help with all of the elements from there on out. So supply chain, warehousing, web design, and, really not trying to control and own everything, and collaborate and bring on people who are experts to offset any sort of imposter syndrome or concerns that you have around your own experience.
Great. And once once the products were ready, how did you approach the go-to-market strategy? Because I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, that innovation comes with challenges. Of course, ups and downs, pros and cons. But I think that this requires some kind of education, or at least to overcome some objections that people might have. Does this really work? It's like a sticker or a patch. So, how did you approach that?
Yeah. So I think one of the most important takeaways from this, whole process is sort of to embrace the process, trust the process, and don't focus so much on perfection, really just putting things out there and building off momentum is so important. So once there was a product that I was confident in, there were sort of two options. The first was, the more traditional route of trying to fundraise to perfect the product, bring the product to market in a really glossy, beautiful, perfect way. That's not a reality for a lot of people. And that wasn't the reality in our case. And so the option that we took was to put a small assortment of product online and to start getting feedback. What were the hiccups? What were the things that were pain points for people where they ended up, not purchasing the product? What were the most frequently asked questions? What were people looking for in a product like this?
Right.
And within 3 months of having the product just on our direct to consumer website with limited or no marketing spend, we were able to learn really valuable things that informed many production changes. And ultimately, when we launched the product in a bigger way 6 months later, all of those bits of feedback had been incorporated. So I would say, don't wait for perfection. Do the best that you can with the resources that you have and try and be a sponge and absorb as much as you possibly can, improve, iterate, really get to a place where the product is as perfect as you can make it. And that's when you can start things like fundraising and going to meet with bigger retail partners and be in a position of experience and having all of the talking points and key pieces of information that those types of individuals would be looking for with a new brand.
Yeah, that's spot on. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Perfection, first off, I think, of course, it doesn't exist. But if you want to be as perfect as possible, I think the key is in iteration
Mhm.
and incorporating customer feedback. There's a great study that has been done in an university. I'm sure there were many cases. This one in particular is from a book I read, and it tells basically that there was this photography class, and the professor split the class in two. To the first group, he said, you need to, take as many photos as you can and bring them me as many as you can, regardless of the quality. To the other group, he said, you need to just give me one, your best picture, just one. To the first, again, he didn't ask them for quality. To the second, he didn't ask them for quantity, just one quality. Guess which group brought the highest quality picture? It was
The first.
the first one.
Yeah,
Because even though they weren't asked to, that iteration, made them master the craft more and iterate and
absolutely.
want to improve. So I think that applies to life in general.
Absolutely. It's, and it's not necessarily how we're all programmed to think of
Uh,
things. But I think it's really the key, and you will be so grateful when you see the results, when you've just trusted yourself and trusted the process and not fixated so much on perfection. There's so many lessons to be learned along the way, and so much that you can translate into a better product than you had even imagined. You kind of go through all of the motion.
let the feedback feed the improvements, or at least guide the improvements, right? Otherwise, it will be you just with your thoughts and with your team's thoughts as well, but not your customers. And we need to keep them what they want in the end, right? So
Exactly.
you launched the products with minimal to no marketing. You received, great feedback. What happened next? How did you go from step one, let's say, which is you launched the product, got some feedback, got some customers? How did you scale that?
Yeah. So once we had enough information and feedback and really knew the areas that we had to improve, we started to meet with established retail partners. A lot of those conversations were just the result of cold email outreach. You should never underestimate the power of a you know, thoughtful email with a compelling subject line. My background was in fashion. I had relationships and understood the retail landscape from a luxury fashion perspective, but it's an entirely different landscape in terms of big box and convenience and pharmacy and grocery. So I was starting from nothing. I had nothing in my toolkit that prepared me for this. And so it was a lot of just cold email outreach with the goal of getting people to give us their addresses, so that we could send them product. The product, I think, speaks for itself. So getting as much product into the world as possible. I had, like I said, at this time, not done fundraising, had no marketing budget. So popping up in places and giving out free product, sending free product to people whose addresses I had, giving free product out on social media, because that was going to be the foundation for what came next. If enough people tried the product and liked it, they would become our brand ambassadors. And given the visual nature of the product, it sparks conversations where, even if someone's intention wasn't to wake up that day, go outside and talk about the benefits of Barriere vitamin patches, when somebody looks at your arm and says, "Oh, is that a tattoo?" or "What is that?" It inevitably starts that conversation. So within a couple of months of those efforts, we were starting to see the flywheel effect of, okay, it's not just that more customers are finding us, more people are sharing, and UGC is valuable. More people are promoting the product in a very organic way, and that's getting the attention of some of the wholesale partners that we were reaching out to, and even some of the investors that we might be targeting. Press starts to want to write about it. And so all of these things sort of came together at the right time. And I would say it was June of last year where all of the stars sort of aligned, and we were able to identify immediate partners for retail, identify potential investors who would help us fund this next stage of growth and bring the bigger vision to life, and get enough of a customer base that we could use them as a test group or a case study to all of these different, um, you know, investors, stores, et cetera, so that we really felt like, although it was patched along the way, there was this comprehensive strategy that set us up for success in Q3 and Q4 of last year, where I think we really hit our stride.
That's amazing. So you said that you've been for a few months doing some in-person events, right? Pop-up stores and some of the. I
Yes.
mean, I cannot stress enough the value of that. I'm happy you said that. I've been discussing, this kind of stuff with, small brands and even, I don't know, nine-figure brands. I was discussing it last year with Born Primitive. And basically going beyond the storefront, I can't stress enough how important this is. Some brands, it's not that they hide behind the storefront, but they think that it's enough these days to create a beautiful product and set up a Shopify store, right? And it's not. It might get you again from 0 to 1, a few, customers. But if you want the real thing, you need to get involved, and plus, I mean, I'm sure it sparks like genuine and amazing conversations with your customers, because when they buy online, you don't see who they are, what they look like, what they say, right? When they are looking at the product, the questions they have, you just see a purchase or an abandoned cart. You see the numbers, right? But when you're in front of them, you see like, what is this? Or looks cool, and you get all that feedback.
It's invaluable. It is invaluable. And for, especially for a product like ours that's highly visual, tactile, and innovative, pop-ups and any in real life event can be a game changer. It not only gives customers the opportunity to experience the patches in real life, but it gives us an opportunity to educate them about this innovative delivery method, and to see how they look, how they feel. And in some cases, it creates Instagrammable moments or UGC that can fuel buzz. But for the most part, the real value is in those one-on-one interactions with the customers. I can't tell you how many times I have left an in-person event, whether it's me standing in a grocery aisle handing out samples or popping up at a more established event, with another retail partner brand. Regardless, I leave these events with really incredible insights that I immediately implement, whether that's reorganizing the FAQs to make sure that the most important information is available on our webpage in the same way that someone can come up to me in an event and ask a question. Changing things on our packaging because I'm seeing that people are interacting with the product in real life differently than I would have expected. And so that I actually need to move certain you know, things to the front or change colors because something is hard to read. I mean, it runs the gamut. And I would say that our direct to consumer experience is greatly enhanced by our learnings from the in real life experiences. So they're both important and they both can help make your brand positioning so much better, make your product you know, pillars and key differentiators that more clear. And I would recommend to any brand that's thinking about, trying or testing in-person events, just do it. Even if there isn't a dollar to spend on the event, just go and stand there with a smile on your face and give out your product and be friendly. And it will give you so much back in return. I assure you it won't be a waste of your time or whatever resources you choose to invest.
Yeah, I mean, and as the saying goes, the devil is in the details, right? And it's not, the details is not what happens inside the ad account or
Right.
email account, the ROAS, CPA, CAC, whatever. That matters, but it's not the only thing or the main thing brands should be focusing on, especially if you're trying to validate product market fit, especially if you're trying to build a connection with your audience. I was listening to this podcast. It's a super well-known one, the Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. And in one episode, he interviewed Mr. Beast,
Mhm.
the one and only Mr. Beast. And even though he's who he is, he's obsessed about details, and it got my attention a lot because it's like this guy really is. And he was saying something like a quick story, like they were noticing that many chocolate bars, he launched Feastables, many chocolate bars were broken and they didn't understand the reason. So he was like paying a lot of people because Walmart couldn't give them the footage, camera footage or so they were paying people to install like hidden GoPro all over the shelves. And he used to drive to every single Walmart from in the way from the office to the to home, and he once by doing that discovered the reason why that was happening, and it was that the packaging when the bars were in a vertical position and people were getting some bars off the shelves, there was
Right.
a point in which the weight was producing the entire packaging to fly off the shelves.
Mhm.
So they fixed that and it didn't happen again, right? So that's the beauty of being in the details. You cannot spot that
Right.
from your comfortable CEO, founder, chair, fancy. It's not that way to be in the streets with people and trying to understand what they want and how they want it.
Absolutely. No, and there are a million reasons why people would start a business. Comfort isn't one of them. You should never be comfortable. You should always be moving, thinking, changing, doing. You are going to only be as good at that job or as valuable to your business as you are willing to put in the work and the time. And that's not just work at the computer. It's really getting out there and seeing the product, going to the stores, seeing for yourself, introducing yourself to associates in other stores, getting in front of customers. There is no event, pop-up, sampling, activation that I am too important to do. I will wake up on a Saturday morning myself and go to SoulCycle and stand there for 4 hours handing out samples. It doesn't matter. There's no reason why that should be somebody else. And I have the most to lose and I have the most to gain from those experiences. And it also is a really important reminder of why you do what you do. You know, when you get to interact with people and customers, you know why you're doing the job that you're doing. It's not
Yeah.
about, you know, making lists or getting press coverage with like nice pictures of yourself. It's about making a difference in somebody's life. And when
Yeah.
you can attach a face to a name and have a human interaction, it's the biggest reward.
Yeah, I mean, people go crazy about building the avatars or buyer persona and saying, "Oh, this is John or Jane," and a phony picture they got from ChatGPT, and they have never met a real John or Jane. So what are you doing, right? So
Right.
this is the thing to do. And one more thing to add before changing subjects is that, you know, by the way, for everyone in the audience who thinks that this is something that small brands do, it's not. I've spoken with many, 7, 8, 9, and even bigger brands, figure brands, that do this in different ways.
Mhm.
Some, they have a community on Facebook. Yes, very active communities on Facebook. Some on school, some on Slack, some email. It's fine. They have a beautiful community. Some, they call VIP customers, or they split them into 3 cohorts, those who never bought from them, but they've been following them or subscribed, those who bought once and never again, and those who are loyal, they call them. Also, some even, again, 8-figure brands, they call lapsed customers, the classic win back email flow. Well,
Mhm.
they do the flow, but they also call them,
Yeah.
not to be pushy or salesy, just to see how they are on a subscription model. So it's like, hey, we saw that you left us, so we just wanted to know what went wrong, blah blah, and if there's a fit, that they transition to trying to recover them. So it's something that you do because you care, not because of your size.
Absolutely. And I've had the privilege of speaking with some CEOs of brands I admire through this process. And the ones that have really stood out to me were the CEOs, like the CEO of Well Bella, a hair supplement brand. She still gets on calls every week with customers. And her brand is so much bigger than ours, but that's how she stays grounded. It's how she continues to improve. It's how she combats a lot of the problems that, you know, teams are trying to figure out solutions. And she gets on a call with a customer and has the solve, because that's how you can make meaningful changes and how you can add value to your business regardless of the size. So I think no matter what happens with our business, you'll probably find me standing in a grocery aisle somewhere handing out free samples, because it really does add so much.
Amazing. So now changing subjects, talking about customer acquisition and education as well. I used to work with a beautiful, beauty brand, but for men, and or yeah, beauty brand, let's say, for men. And what worked for them was a quiz they have on the website, because people needed guidance to buy their products, because there were so many options and not every option was right for them. In
Mhm.
your case, I saw you have a quiz too. Do you use it, or do your customers use it? Does it work well to convert or to educate?
Yes. So we didn't know what to expect when we put the quiz up, and were really pleasantly surprised by how much engagement there is and how much conversion it drives. I think people have a lot of questions, and our product is new and different, and it gives people who might have not already had an established wellness routine, or maybe they weren't taking any vitamins, it gives them sort of an easy way to start. You know, maybe you hate pills or you have trouble swallowing. So for a lot of people, this is actually their first time even buying vitamins. So the quiz has been incredibly helpful for customers. It's also been incredibly helpful for us, because we then know which areas of wellness and routine are priorities for people. So if most people are focused on, mood and energy, then it also helps direct our focus on the roadmap. But I think there's always opportunity to improve. And now that we've seen such success with the quiz as is, we're doubling down and investing into more sophisticated technologies to incorporate throughout the entire shopping experience. So not just through a more, robust quiz.
Maybe an AI agent, something like.
Yeah, exactly. And, currently, I don't even know if I should be telling you this, but, we have on our website and through email customer care, it's me. I respond to every inquiry personally. Obviously, there are some questions and answers that I've been able to
Yeah.
pre-program, but that's because I have all of the information available to me, and I have our team of wellness and medical advisors on standby who can answer your specific questions. I mean, that to me is something that's really important in helping people make a decision about their health and wellness routine. And so finding ways to scale that using artificial intelligence and other, you know, um, plugins through Shopify, et cetera, is really important to me. And our goal is to have almost what feels like somebody walking you through the website the same way I would walk you through the product assortment in a store or at a pop-up.
Yeah. I mean, AI is changing everything,
It
and
is, it
like
is.
the way we find information. I was going to say search, but it's going to probably replace that. I mean, we will no longer want to find, links as a result of something. We will want answers, and it's already happening. In some brands I know that, I don't know, they sell air conditioners, they have implemented, let's say, one AI agent per product category, and one is that because, for example, I don't know, live in a house and you don't know the watts or any other spec for the air conditioner that you need,
Yeah,
and it's an expensive thing and you don't want to buy the wrong one. Instead of having, it's something that gets in the way of conversion. So if they can, help you with that instantly through an agent, that's amazing. This is different. It's not an air conditioning, it's something different. It's related to health. So of course, I guess there are a lot of other, things to,
absolutely. Yeah. And our quiz is not intended to treat or diagnose anybody. It's supposed to give you, at the most basic level, what are you looking for? What are some things that you're feeling? What is in your routine already? And with that information alone, we're able to recommend products from our offering and understand that there are things that you might need that we don't offer, and then helping you figure out those solutions.
right.
We've also, developed some pretty interesting partnerships with medical and testing brands for the ability to offer baseline blood work testing for customers so that they can figure out what is it that they even need before they even buy our product.
Oh,
And so that's something that we're going to be rolling out in a more meaningful way. We have a number of partnerships with different doctors' offices and healthcare facilities, wellness clinics across the country, and having our products and resources in their facilities brings in some customers who already know what they're looking for because they've been diagnosed or their doctor has suggested something. So we think it's really important for people to get the information that they're looking for in a way that is easy for them to access and understand. And so we're employing multiple technologies and in-person resources so that we can make that information available.
okay. One of the last things I wanted to ask is about TikTok Shop. I know you're present there and that's working well for you. So I know many people who are, curious about whether TikTok Shop will work for them, whether it's a hype or something that they should, invest time into, understanding and
Yeah.
using as a channel. So what's working for you there?
So what's great in general for TikTok for us is, like I mentioned in the beginning, there's sort of two parts of this brand that are equally important, the self-expression and this self-care, the science-backed piece. And we use different platforms to highlight different things. So for us, TikTok is incredible at generating buzz and speaking to the visual appeal of the product, the self-expression, less about experts and medical advisors and more about lifestyle. And so the visual component of our product really does well in a TikTok environment. People are enjoying sharing how they're wearing the product. They're using it like an accessory, and that really creates some aspirational content that's fun and excites people in a way that I imagine they haven't felt about vitamins before. So TikTok Shop is great because it gives us the ability to capture that customer in the moment. They're excited about the content, they're excited about what they're seeing, and then they can actually just purchase it in a really seamless way. I will say navigating TikTok shops was a bit of a process. We had to really figure out what our content secret sauce strategy was first, and then use TikTok shop as a support to support that. And now that, it took a few months at the beginning there to get some traction when it came to the content itself. But now it's been incredible, and TikTok is a really meaningful driver for us in terms of sales. So I would say give it a shot, be patient, and especially if your product has a visual component or something that lends itself to the creative nature of the platform, then I would say go for it, because the worst case scenario is that it doesn't end up yielding the results that you're looking for and you can focus your time elsewhere. But in our case, after I would say 2 or 3 months of consistent posting and optimizing the shop, doing all of the shop, incentives, rewards, promotions, et cetera, and really playing that game, we started to see the whole channel of TikTok becoming valuable because of the TikTok shop piece.
Two questions on that, if I may. One, did you partner up with the creators, and was that what worked, or did your own content work? Because I know many well-known brands that even produce TV shows for Netflix, that they produce amazing content for themselves and they weren't able to make it work. So it mainly comes from, somebody else, creators. So was that your strategy too?
So again, sometimes the things that frustrate you the most are actually, really end up being what makes you successful. So we had no budget to pay creators. So that wasn't even an option. So it was trial and error of the kinds of content that TikTok was looking for. Myself, a small team of people, some performed, some didn't. But once we started to see this is the kind of stuff that people are looking for, we started to, through affiliates and through our own seeding efforts, we started sending product to as many creators as we could, and started to see what they were creating, and it all fell in line with those initial pieces of content that were getting traction that we created. And so now at this point we have a little bit more budget. We do work with specific creators. We have our affiliate program, but it wasn't really about paying a big creator or having a high value production budget in place. It was just about what is it that people are looking for? What's selling the product organically, naturally, authentically, and then finding the people within your budget or your network, your community that can help you tell that story. And so for us, it's just been about getting the product in the hands of creative people who this product fits in organically with their own life. And I'll say there are a lot of times where I'm scrolling through TikTok now and I'm seeing people wearing the patches, and whether the content is talking about the patches or not, they've become so identifiable that has a flywheel effect in and of itself, that our patches are supporting characters in a lot of stories that have nothing to do with Barriere. And that's almost even better because it really proves that people are wearing this product, whether it's a pay to play partnership or not. And so now we're seeing even a whole level of promotion that we didn't expect because it wasn't planned or negotiated.
Amazing. So last question I got for you is, what advice could you give, to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to innovate in the wellness space?
I would say just go for it. As I mentioned before, trust your instincts. Don't, worry less about perfection. Embrace, the failures, the trial, the error, and just don't put this pressure on yourself to feel like you have to have everything figured out from the start, because a lot of times your own vision or specific way that you think something should be might not actually be the best way. And I'll be the first to admit that because of my lack of resources at certain points in time, or because of customer feedback, I wasn't able to do things or the way I wanted to, or a customer's opinion of something was different than what I thought. And it's only because I was open and embraced it all and didn't have such a specific view of what things needed to be, that I am where I am today, and that the brand is where it is today. I think expectations are a thief. Don't expect things to look a certain way. Just be open and be grateful and do the best that you can. Um, you don't want to stand in your own way of progress because you're searching for perfection or something to look the way that you thought it would.
Great advice. I like that line about expectations. So last thing I wanted to ask, if you've been listening to these podcasts or, watching these podcasts, you in the audience, that I love asking my guests if they have a book that they love to share with all of you. So do you have any book, Cleo, that you love that you would like to share with all of us?
Yes. And I'm actually going to give you a twofer.
Okay.
The first would be The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. I think everyone should read this, but especially entrepreneurs or business owners or aspiring business owners. It really helps you think about failure differently. It will help open up your mind to all of the things that the universe might be trying to tell you when it puts an obstacle in your way. And most importantly, it is a reminder that sometimes the obstacle is the way, and that getting through these challenges, um, you know, is the reward. And the second I would say is also by Ryan Holiday, which is The Daily Stoic. So if you don't have a lot of time and can't read a book from start to finish, like most busy entrepreneurs don't have the time, the Daily Stoic has just one page a day that you can read. It's built on the ideals of stoicism, but it's really reinterpreted for modern day life. And I keep it on my bedside table and read one page every night before I go to bed. I think there's a lot to be learned from those philosophers that is very relevant today. And I think there's something everyone can take away from just a page a day.
Love these books. Thank you for sharing them.
Good.
So I really enjoyed this conversation, Cleo. I learned a lot, and I think it was a great episode, at least for me, and I hope the audience enjoyed it too, and of course that you enjoyed it too. So before you go, I wanted to ask, where can people go to learn more about you and Barriere?
Yes, so they can find us at www.mybarriere.com, and Barriere is spelled Barriere. We also have social media accounts. It's just at My Barriere on Instagram and TikTok. And if you go to our website, you can also use the geolocator to find the stores that are closest to you. So you just type in your address or your zip code, and all of the closest stores to you will populate. So I hope you find us online or in your favorite grocery or pharmacy aisle soon, and that you enjoy wearing your vitamins.
Amazing. So for you in the audience, first, thank you for listening this far. And second, if you are not already there, please go to the DTCinsider.com. And once you find the episode, you will see the show notes, including every topic we discussed. And of course, the books Cleo mentioned and the social handles, and of course, the website. Cleo, once again, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for your time, Brian.
This episode was brought to you by BSR Digital. We help DTC brands grow through paid ads and email marketing campaigns. If you'd like us to help your business grow, head on over to bsrdigital.com and schedule a call with us.